Oh, I need you to show me the way. Yes, I need you to show me the way. Yes, I need you, my baby, like you never known that I did. Sleeping around town to town, bad sleeping around town to town.
Good afternoon and welcome to another Track by Track. This afternoon we're sitting in with XIII Arrows, who I think actually were our first Track by Track that we did, so we're super excited to have you guys back. Right now, today we're going to be talking about their third EP, which we're super stoked about, and I think they are as well. So why don't you guys just go around, introduce yourselves. I know we know you, but for people listening, just name and your role in the band, and anyone that's not here with us today too.
My name's Mike, and I sing and play guitar.
My name's Eddie, and I play guitar.
My name is Harrison, and I play the bass.
We're missing Johnny, our drummer.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, so just tell us a little bit. I know we were chatting earlier. You guys just kind of wrapped this up. The name of this, by the way, is the Pearl Sessions. So why don't you just give us a little tidbits about this EP and just kind of the timing and, just kind of introduce it.
Okay. So the reason it's called the Pearl Sessions is because we recorded at a recording studio in Northeast Minneapolis called The Pearl with Zach Hollander, and it was just an awesome experience. It was our first recording session there, and we'll definitely be back. We kind of wanted to record somewhere new for this album. We felt like we're really starting to kind of hone in our sound after being a band together for about a year now. And when we talked to Zach, he just really had the energy and like said all the right things and just seemed like totally on the same page. Like, oh, we could do this or that. This is the kind of gear I use. It's a very vintage, like analog style studio, and it just seemed like a really good fit for this project.
And how'd you guys get connected with the Pearl and
So we knew a couple other bands that had recorded there. So when we started to look for studios, we just called around to a few, talked to some on the phone, met with a couple in person, and then after doing that, we were just really all felt like drawn to the Pearl and Zach and the vibe and just everything going on there. So it was a really like natural introduction, I think.
Totally, just kind of the right fit, the right timing. Were you like itching to get back in and get recording? I mean, did you feel like you had a lot of, songs or content or, lyrics or whatever like that you were just itching to get back in, or did you just kind of feel ready to take it to the
I
studio?
think enough time had passed from our second EP where we spent a lot of time writing new songs, and we had plenty of time to trim the fat, so to speak. So we had 4 or 5 really good ones. So we were ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just, like Mike said, we've been together for about a year. So just trying to really develop our sound and figure out who we are. And I suppose that's an ongoing process for as long as any band continues. But it just felt like we had 5 that really kind of worked, and we decided to go in and lay it down.
Give it a go.
Yep.
Now before we dive in, just how would you guys describe your sound, maybe to someone listening to this who hasn't seen you guys live? Mm-hmm. They're going to obviously hear some of the tracks today, but give us like your little pitch on like what is the sound of XIII Arrows, or maybe a new sound too that we haven't heard from previous.
Mm-hmm. I think that we're tried and true a rock and roll band, and I think what that used to mean many years ago, which is like the Rolling Stones, for example, they have country songs, they have folk songs, they have rock songs, they have R&B songs, they have disco songs. Like, they're a rock band, but they can play anything, and it's still the Stones. And I think that's what we're trying to do as well, like not limit ourselves to we're just grunge rock or we're just metal or we're just this or that. It can really be anything, but through the lens of XIII Arrows.
Absolutely.
Yeah, each of us have a really solid foundation, so we can communicate musically very well.
I think the fact that we all tend to gravitate towards different types of music too, I think that kind of helps. Just songwriting, it's really nice to have Eddie, who's just so guitar heavy and who has introduced, I mean, it's embarrassing for me to say, but like he's the one that this late in my life introduced me to like Petty and like all these 70s, like really guitar heavy kind of sounds. And
Well, you just told me to listen to Wilco for the first time. So.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
There's so much. It's like, how can you, there's always new stuff to listen to. So what else have you been listening to? Wilco, Petty, The Stones?
Yeah.
Any other influences on 13 Arrows these days?
I think a lot of us are also influenced by like the blues.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really how like bands like the Stones came together, is they were just like, we love this music, we want to play this kind of a music, and then it developed into their own version of it, and kind of paying homage to people who came before and not being afraid. I think that's a great thing about the blues itself, is you don't have to be afraid to say like, I got inspired by this and took it and did that with it. It's not like infringement in that zone. It's more just like everyone's got this collective music that we're all contributing to, and we don't want that funnel to end. We don't want the pipeline to finish one day and like the music's gone. Like we want to continue to just contribute to that.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking back on your the previous two EPs, I mean, you definitely hear that like blues sound, anything from like, I could give this like a friend at work and they would love it, or like my parents will listen to it, and I think call to mind like some of those, like you touched on that 70s and the very like guitar heavy. It's just kind of like that nostalgic but also new. So we're super excited about the new EP. So with that, should we go ahead and take a listen to the first track, which is entitled I Need You?
Oh, I need you to show me the way. Yes, I need you to show me the way. Yes, I need you, my baby, like you never known that I did. Sleeping around town to town, bad sleeping around town to town. You been sleeping and a creeping, back door never made a sound. You had to throw it all away. Why did you throw it all away? Well, you threw it all away, baby. When you leave, you never stay.
So that was the first track off of the Pearl Sessions, and that was called I Need You. So yeah, that was super fun, you guys. I feel like we were just chatting about kind of a different sound. I mean, still very, 13 Arrows, but just kind of that upbeat, like fun, little poppy, kind of dancey, like excited to see that live for sure. So was that kind of strategic? I mean, do you think putting that one as the first track on this EP, or it?
So, yeah, this song, I remember this one practicing early on, and, the word sleeper we used a lot. We didn't really think much of it until we got in with Zach at the Pearl, and, he thought, this one, he really gravitated towards 3 songs, but that one specifically, and it really turned out. I think I was surprised how much we were toe tapping and bouncing around to this song by the end of the process. It was a real blast to do in the studio.
Did it evolve? I mean, quite a bit from whatever you brought in, originally, to the studio, or what was that kind of process getting it to, what we have on the EP today?
Yeah, I think it was pretty straight up what it was. The end of the song, I think it starts to build and build and build and build and jam a bit, and we hadn't totally figured out how we wanted that to happen, and so that definitely came to life in the studio, like adding the group vocals going back and forth, and just all the different layers that come in, and really letting the song just kind of explode at the end.
Yeah, that's something I know I love, and I think we love, is like just those great like guitar parts. I know from you, Eddie, and just like from all of you, but just like I feel like I love that, but I don't hear it as much as I want to on a lot of stuff that I listen to. So I'm just like, I need like a good.
That's what we're here for.
So, yes, well, you're doing it, so yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, let's jump into the second track, which is entitled "Waiting." Tell us about this one, you guys.
Yeah, this was an interesting song that kind of came in almost at the last minute. This was the song that we wrote closest to the studio session happening, and I think everyone just got really excited about it, and we felt confident. Like, we showed Zach, here's a bunch of songs we have, like, which ones do you think we should record? And he gave us his advice on which 5 he liked. And it was pretty unanimous amongst us and Zach, our producer and engineer at the Pearl, that this was like the song. So we decided to do a music video for it, which will be coming out as well. And the writing of it was interesting. I was working on the lyrics, and it's like a pretty song, and it just lent itself to being like, okay, this is going to be a song about love like every other song that exists out there. And the twist on it that was interesting was making it a song that's about falling in love with someone, but they don't even know you exist. So just trying to add something to keep it more interesting than just the straight up regular formula.
Yeah, absolutely. Lyrically, do you guys, I mean, Mike, is it mainly you, or do you guys all bring, lyrical content to the table?
I'd definitely say it's Mike. There have been times where we can just talk about lyrics and suggest things, but I think ultimately what we want is for Mike to feel comfortable singing what he's singing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we like to throw ideas out there, but yeah, we're happy to just give Mike the reins on that one.
Right. You're the one singing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to Waiting, the second track off of Pearl Sessions.
Saw you once, saw you twice, looked right past me, buddy, felt so nice, fell in love that day. Did you know I felt that way? Had a dream, oh, I kept clean. Said you always long to be with me. I hope my sheets were soaked. It was the first, the last, the only time.
So that was Waiting, the second track off of the EP. And yeah, like we said, that's a very kind of like vibey, swooning, I think was the word that we just used. And you guys mentioned that this is going to be the single as well. So tell us a little bit about that in a music video.
Yeah, so we had like a handful of songs going into the studio, and we thought, okay, let's do a video for one of these songs and treat it as the single. And everyone in the band felt pretty strongly that this would be the track for that, and we wanted to get an outside perspective. And our producer, Zach, had also said the same thing. Like, we didn't tell him our thoughts, we just wanted his raw opinion, and he said, this is the one I think you should do the video for. And we were really glad that everyone was on the same page. So we brought in a buddy to the studio who filmed like the whole process, and we have a music video that'll go out with this song to serve as the single, and it's kind of a nice sneak peek into what the Pearl sessions were like.
Cool. So you guys said that's coming out this week on Wednesday, so correct?
Correct.
So if you're listening, make sure to keep an eye and an ear out. So let's go ahead and have you guys tell us about the third track, Memory, off of the EP.
This one is kind of the most chordy song, I would say. It's got a lot of British influence, kind of Beatlesque sound to it. There's not a lot of musical fireworks, really. We just really let the lyrics and the structure of the song speak for itself. There's a really strong melody, which you'll hear. And like I said, there's no like crazy guitar solos or weird bass stuff. It's really just let the song. We always talk about what we call the campfire test or the bonfire test. If one person can play it on an acoustic and it still sounds like a song, it's a good song, and I think this passes that test.
Yeah, I think it definitely has that kind of dreamy Beatles throwback vibe where the lyrical content, like Memory, the song is really about being bummed out and just thinking about how something in the past was so much better than where you're at right now, and missing that and longing for it, and kind of like you're driving down the highway and the sun's coming down at the end of the day, and it's just like that dusk mood. I think is what we kind of pictured for it. So it's a really pretty song, and yeah, I think like Eddie said, it's just got a strong chorus, and it's a fun one.
Awesome. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's give it a listen.
The less I show, pain it does not seem to go away. Filling up my ashtray, thinking about it yesterday, living in the past where nothing seemed to last or stay.
So that was Memory that we were just listening to. Again, third track off of the Pearl Sessions, and kind of, yeah, that kind of 70s groovy, you know, a little, the kind of like slow and building, softer, like we said. I was going to ask, because we were talking earlier about even just some of the equipment that you guys use to record at the Pearl. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that, of just kind of some of that like throwback sound that we've been talking a lot about.
The big drum sound is it's all analog. So we recorded straight to tape, which is cool because you get like the overdriven tape analog sound. And it just translates really well when you dump it back into Pro Tools or whatever system you're using.
Yeah.
But, you know, Johnny, the drummer, he can't speak for himself because he's not here, but it just sounds really well when you print it to tape. Bass was pretty much on tape as well. So the Pearl kind of just has a really good marriage of old vintage gear plus the modern convenience of, you know, 2017 recording studio.
Absolutely. Had you guys done that process before, or was that the first time doing the analog?
I worked with tape in school, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a big reason why we chose the Pearl and Zach. Just touring the studio, it was, I mean, I wouldn't say determining factor, but it definitely was encouraging with the types of songs like Memory that we were trying to achieve. So it worked well.
Lended itself well to that. Yeah, absolutely. And then on this track too that we just listened to, kind of a cool keyboard part, which maybe you guys can tell us a little bit about that. I know we don't have a keyboardist in the band, so.
Yeah. So we were throwing down these songs with Zach and talking about what are the different parts, how are we going to be overdubbing this or doing that, and what do we want to play around with. And we all have always wanted to have keyboard and organ, and he's got an old Leslie Hammond organ set up, like the real deal, like what the big bands had back in the day and you don't really see anymore. He had that, and we really wanted to take advantage of it. So we asked him, like, do you know anybody that we could hook up with to add a little bit of this filling sound of the keyboards and the organ and the piano? And he recommended a guy, Dave, that came in and threw down on each of the songs, and it just contributed a lot. And I think it adds a really nice bed to some of the songs, especially some of these slower, prettier songs like Memory. It's just really beautiful additions to the song.
Is he going to play shows with you guys, like for translating these live, or kind of figure that out as you go?
We've spoken about it, and if you're out there,
Dave.
Yeah, Dave, we want you.
yeah.
This is your this is his chance, right? Speak now,
No, we loved working with him. He was a really, really just pleasant guy all around. Very nice, easygoing.
Incredible player.
Incredible player. Yeah, I just don't think you could ask for a better person to work with in that situation. Just really
having the organ is just like it's like a pillow, like a comfort, like just nice and comfortable. I mean, we're all huge fans of the Heartbreakers, and they've got Ben Mont playing piano.
It adds, just even on that track, the keys part, it just adds another kind of layer and another dynamic. And you guys, your sound is already complex and drawing from lots of different places, but it's just kind of like a nice, I'm like, ooh, we haven't totally heard that from 13 Arrows before, so that's kind of fun to hear something a little bit different. So
well, and how many rock bands that you go to see actually have a piano player there? I haven't.
It's not as common these days. It's
No.
like it's not a convenient piece of equipment to lug around.
Or I feel like it kind of gets tucked sometimes. Like it's not. They might have someone, but it's just kind of off behind, like not like a centerpiece. Really, not as much in like rock. So Very cool. Well, let's dive into the next one here, which is fourth, second to last on the Pearl Sessions. This one's called "How Can You Rock?" So tell us about that one.
I think Harry came to the table with this bass riff that you hear in the intro, and it just became this badass song.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun writing it. I think in previous interviews, you guys have talked about somebody will bring a nugget to the table every once in a while, and when it comes to songwriting, I think it's a little tougher. Me being a bass player, I do use acoustic guitar as a medium sometimes, but when I'm just at home, sometimes a bass riff will just like get in my head, and I'll just think, oh man, I got to go figure this out so I can show it to the guys, especially if it's something as hard rocking as How Can You Rock? And it's also, I think, kind of tough for us. I know Mike and I have talked about it. Writing hard rocking songs is kind of difficult when you're alone, especially when you've got something like an acoustic guitar or just a bass. So I was just happy to bring something really fun and energetic. And I mean, these guys really helped pull the whole thing together. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. We're hoping that the Minnesota Wild will pick up on this song and it'll become the new goal anthem after the home team scores.
Yeah, there's a big anthem at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of a stadium rocker.
So when we were in the studio, there's that big whoa, oh.
Yeah.
And so all four of us were around this big microphone, and we all four sang. And then we overdubbed that like 6 times, so there's like 32 people.
Almost passed out.
Just that like anthemic, like stadium kind of sound.
Like I know a band that we talked about when we were writing the song is Japan Droids, and they're like celebration rock, stadium rock, and lots of group vocals, and the whole audience gets into it. And we were like, we want to get that crowd participation, and we want to get people stoked and fired up. And this is a song that is able to lend itself to that.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need that one like easy something. You're like, even if I don't know the words to this, like
Yes.
I can sing whoa, like that's something I can handle. So this will be the
It's one of those songs where everybody in the crowd's going to know the words by the time this song's over.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Can we expect this one at the Day Block show, which we'll touch on more later?
Definitely.
Okay. Have you played it live yet? I mean, like at a show?
I think so.
Yeah, we have at the last 2 gigs, I think. And what was interesting is before this song was ever public or going to be recorded or anything, we played it at 1 gig. And for a lot of people after the gig, were like, what was the first song you guys played? That's awesome.
Really?
It's not on a record. What is that? And we were like, we didn't think it would catch on that strongly. So that was, I think, a big part of why it ended up on the record is the feedback we had from our friends.
And sometimes that's enough when it's like, if I leave a show and I'm thinking about a song that I heard enough that I'm like, I gotta go find that. Like it's those like earwormy, kind of stick in your head. So awesome. Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to "How Can You Rock."
Well, how can you rock me if you don't even know how I roll? But don't lose me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, how can you rock me if you don't even know how I roll?
So that was "How Can You Rock" from the Pearl Sessions, and that very kind of anthemic stadium-ish rock sound. So very fun vibe from you guys on that. But this one you had played before, so was there a reason that this didn't go on like previous EPs, or just kind of getting it to the quality that you wanted it for release?
I think it may have just gotten kind of caught in between. Maybe the last EP, we hadn't quite solidified what we were doing with it. But it was definitely at a show at the Parkway. I think when we played it for the first time live, that we had a couple of folks come up to us and say, what is this song? I haven't heard it before. It was the first track that we played that night, and I get to slam on a bass pedal and just get really loud, and yeah, so it was just a lot of fun feedback. People seem to enjoy it, so we just worked on it.
I always say, "What's that? Whoa!" song?
They remember that part.
So,
That's the hook. Yeah. Sticks with them. How was it? I mean, I know we touched on the vocals, but I mean, recording that, kind of getting to that point when it was finished. I mean, how did you guys kind of feel?
That was a tricky one. That was like the song that, okay, we're going to go in the studio. We've got one day to get all these songs done. How are we going to organize this? So let's start with the easiest and save the hardest for last. This was the last song. And like we played a click, a metronome to keep everything on the same page and just to be professional. And we dropped the metronome in the second half of this song because it changes tempo and it gets a little free form. So it was kind of a wild card, like what's going to happen when we do this in the studio? Is it going to feel the way it feels live? And I think we were really surprised and happy with the outcome.
Did it take a little like elbow work to get there to that point of?
I think what you hear is like second or third take, probably. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah.
We were so ready. I mean, we practiced to a metronome for
A lot.
4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, we were like in the middle of the night just hearing like click, 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 click in my head, like driving you crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Does this kind of feel like one of those tracks? Is this like a close out the set track, or is this like a open the set track? I guess it could kind of be either almost.
We've used it as an opener, but I never rule it out.
Anything can happen.
Yes.
Well, let's go ahead and just dive into the last track off of the EP here. This one is called Inhale Hell. So tell us about that one.
I think if
Drop D.
Yeah, the song gets evil, which is probably why it's my favorite one on the album. But this was not intentional, but if you were to look at the whole album, it starts out with I Need You, like somebody just lost somebody and went through a breakup and they like are sad. And then you go to Waiting and they're kind of sitting on this love and like wanting it and yearning for it, and then Memories like missing it. And then How Can You Rock is like your buddy showed up and they're like, stop being a pussy, we're going to go party and you're going to just get over this. And then Inhale Hell is you've hit rock bottom and your life is fucked.
And we just end on that note. So. I mean, I feel like that's sometimes one of my pet peeves though is like with albums or EPs, I'm like, there's a flow and like there's a strategic, an order of the songs and just kind of like that, like the storytelling aspect of which you guys do really well. I mean, on this one and on other ones. So yeah, how was it bringing this one to the Pearl and recording?
This one I think was biggest surprise for me just because it's just one. It starts off with just a riff, and that's how it was written, just one little riff. But I think really the magic of the studio brought this one together with quieter parts, louder parts. It's a headbanger, yeah, for sure.
Good one to close out with on the EP. Well, let's go ahead and let's give it a listen here. This is Inhale Hell from 13 Arrows.
Inhale, that's no one spell, gonna blow me away. Bought a ticket to ride, cause I'm dead inside, trying to find my way. I cannot deal, I've been numb all day. Sipping liquid love, smoking all the above on the 7th day.
Was Inhale Hell, the final track off of the Pearl Sessions from 13 Arrows. Very kind of gritty, ominous feel, very cool vibe. Definitely excited to see that live, and like we were saying, kind of like almost like a soundtracky, just, I know you guys said like Ice Road Truckers and like that kind of, like as silly as that is, it totally, that kind of building soundtracky sound for sure. So Yeah, can we expect that one at the show coming up?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So go ahead and tell us, we got a little snippet today, but tell us about the release, when it's coming out, and where people will be able to find that.
Yeah, so we're going to release the single, Waiting, the music video, this coming up Wednesday. And then from then out, we're just going to be using content to kind of trickle out and promote the show, which will be Saturday, December 16th at Dayblock Brewing. And just a couple days before that, on the 13th, we'll release the full album digitally, and then you can purchase physical copies at the show.
Absolutely. And where can people grab tickets to the show? On your Facebook or website, or where can we? We'll add a link. We'll find the link and we will add it wherever it is.
Yeah, we have like Facebook events set up and things like that, and I know you can just get in right at the door. Cool. I'm not sure if there's any special pre-sale stuff.
Yeah, I know that Dayblock has created an event on their own page, so that might be the best route finding tickets.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be sure to link to all of that. And then just tell us, I know this is kind of been a busy year for you guys, but I know you're looking forward to next year too. So what can we kind of expect coming down the docket from 13 Arrows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we're always writing more music, practicing a lot, recording, and now I think the summer has ended and winter is here, and it's a good opportunity for us to get in front of people. There's a lot of competition for how people spend their time in the summer, so the winter's a great time for shows, and we're really hoping to just get out there, play a lot, and let people hear what we have for them.
Absolutely. Those cold nights, you need something inside and something fun to do. Yeah. So I know we're definitely looking forward to the show on the 16th, and so again, keep an eye out for 13 Arrows, Facebook, socials, all that good stuff. And then, we'll see you guys on the 16th down at Dayblock. And, again, this was just a track by track with 13 Arrows, the Pearl Sessions coming out next month. So thanks, guys, for coming in, and we're excited to see what's to come from you.
Awesome.
So
thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Lost track of the day. Been losing sleep on my midnight creep. Keep the wolves at bay. Oh, I cannot feel, I cannot deal. I've been numb all day. Down in a dump, just a one more bump will get me through the day.